Hey, on Nova Legends podcast, I'm going to recap the Class 6 state tournament, which was on March 10th, uh, Friday, March 10th, 2023, down in at VCU, the Siegel Center in Richmond. And we got two new state champions for the girls. We got Madison with its fourth state championship in a row, I should say, and Hayfield with back-to-back state champions. Two great Northern Virginia teams that had pretty dominant seasons. Madison was particularly dominant in the postseason and very deserving state champs. And I was lucky to be down there to witness it. One thing I would say that I saw a lot of people down there that I know from social media. When I say I know them, just virtually, um, a lot of folks came up to me, talked about the Facebook groups, the podcast, especially. It was great to get so much feedback from people. It was it's great to know that we have a community based movement that really enjoys high school basketball, enjoys being together, and to talk about the games from yesteryear, but also from today. And I think we've helped to connect those dots. I ran into Alex Koo, who runs a great group for the Prince William community-based group that talks about local sports, mostly of today. Tony Case was one of the first guys I met in this group, one of the first early members. Finally met him in person. That was awesome. Chris Simmons, a guy played at Garfield, class 85. Another early member, great guy. Never met him before. Came up to me and talked. Really enjoyed meeting Chris. I met Kerry Kachonis, one of the greatest scorers in the history of Northern Virginia basketball. Played at George Mason in their Hall of Fame. Kerry was instrumental in helping us get this thing rolling as well. And I got to sit next to Kerry and watch the games. Met her beautiful mom, and she was wonderful too. So it was so great to see so many people that love basketball, particularly Northern Virginia basketball as much as I do. In terms of the location and the venue, VCU is a great place. Siegel Center is a great place for a tournament. Very easy access from the highway, lots of parking. There are ways to avoid traffic in and out. It's just very, very user friendly. Great atmosphere. It's nothing fancy. The gym's kind of old fashioned, but not too many bad seats in the house. Um, some of the problems with the venue, there was only one snack bar that I could see, kind of limited menu, no pizza. Didn't go over well with my college age son who came back to enjoy the games with me. And no scoring breakdowns on the scoreboard. You would think we'd be able to know who had who scored the most points, and that was a very frustrating thing. I think they could do a better job of providing. They had the capability; it was on the scoreboard, but no one was populating the scoreboard with figures, so we didn't know who had the most points. I thought that was very frustrating. The format with all finals, and so you just see the final games. There's no final fours, which most tournaments have, that lead to a final. Maybe the final four is on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday, and the finals are on Saturday. That was a traditional format for VHSS. It's the format in many states. It's the format for college tournaments. So that's frustrating. Hopefully, they will take my advice to collapse at the state level the 5 and 6 classes into a triple A, the 3s and 4s into a double A, the 1s and 2s into a single A. Just have three state champions. I think it would create a lot more interesting matchups. It would be so much fun if we can do that. And also we avoid the trouble if these teams our teams are matching up with the same teams over and over again to escape to get to the states. Like this year, Meridian, a great team from up here, had to beat Brentsville, I think a fourth time to get to state, and they failed in doing that. Congratulations to Brentsville and their great coach, Kayla Delaney, daughter of Eugene Baltimore. But Battlefield last year have beat Patriot on the fifth try. This year, Hayfield had to play Madison over and over again. It's really not what tournaments are supposed to be. Let's get more creative and setting up brackets where we separate competitors so that if they are the best, they'll only meet in the final. I mean, that's kind of like tournament 101, guys. I think we can do a better job with that. Giant crowds. I know for the Hayfield Patriot game, awesome student sections, pretty positive cheering. Had a really good time. It was a really funny moment in the Hayfield crowd when I guess there was a kid named Mo was was talked to by some of the administration for maybe something he said. The whole Hayfield crowd shouted, yelling, singing, "Kick out Mo, kick out Mo." Very funny moment. I'm glad to say Mo, who had a UVA jersey on, was not kicked out and he was able to enjoy the game. But great crowd support for both teams, lots of fun. Everyone wearing their spirit crowd. Congrats to the schools for getting them down there and making sure they behave themselves. Made the game a lot of fun. Officiating on the girls' side, what a great job these officials did. I'm an official. I was an 18-year high school official, and I know how tough it is to call these games. The girls' games can be really challenging to call because sometimes the way the girls' game, the tempo of the game, the fans expect you to bail players out of contact situations when there's no advantage. And these refs let the girls play. We weren't even in a bonus until late in the fourth quarter. Either way, not even close to the bonus. That's hard to do. They just called the fouls they had to call. Easier said than done, but great job to the officials. In the overtime, they got the and one right. The last score of the game was Madison. Good and foul. It was contact. Just a great call. I'm very proud for these officials to nail a game like that. On the other hand, boys game, not a great job by the officials. They were not. This crew was not ready for this moment. Individually, maybe fine, but the crew just didn't work. They missed obvious walks where a scorer would take 4 or 5 steps to the basket. Then they call walks where the person with the ball was 25 feet from the hole, not even going anywhere. I just felt like they didn't know what to call. Obvious hard fouls weren't called. Touch fouls were called. There was a play, I believe, in the second quarter where there was an obvious foul. Should have been the contact was dangerous. It was kind of a scary moment in the game. There was not an intentional foul called. I'm not asking for a flagrant foul, but that kind of call has to be made. That's a very dangerous play, and they blew that call. Just it was very erratic, and it took away from the game. Did not take away from the result. Hayfield was a deserving champion, but I think you got to have your best team. The associations have to send their best officials for a game of that magnitude because it did take away from the game. Let's talk about the Madison Manchester game. Now, what a great matchup. First of all, Manchester, one of the most talented teams you'll ever see. I mean, these girls could play, led by Tia Wolfuk, a junior. Her dad was Pete Wolfuk, who won a state championship with Jefferson Huguenot with in 1984. Pete was a star player for Richmond. I believe he got to the final 8 with Richmond, played against Charles Barkley in 88, I believe. He was one of the best post players I've ever seen play at the high school level. He was only 6'5". His daughter plays just like him, same post moves, rolls to the hole, lays up. She is awesome. I think 6'2", 6'3". We're going to hear a lot about her. Just a great player. And then they had 2 just knockdown shooters, Rain White, daughter of the coach, and then Finley Weaver, a freshman. Rain White was a sophomore. These girls could just fill it out from far away, all underclassmen. So don't feel too sorry for them because they're going to be back. But Madison, to deal with a team of this kind of caliber, these girls, it's funny, they kind of snuck up on us this year. I mean, they were 3-time state champ coming into the year. They had lost so many star players, the twins, the Arnoley twins, but led by Kayla Dixon, who gets her 4th ring. She has more rings than a pro soccer player's wife, and just incredible effort for her. Just runs the show, made the assist on the game-winning play, but just great defense, blocking shots. And Sarah Link had so many nice plays, finishes. I'm going to forget all their good players because they got a great contribution from many of the players, but undersized, really just a spark plug out there was Adeline Suryabud. I thought she was all over the court. I think she was 5'2", but really had a giant size impact. Stella Gugufka and Avery Grippeting, just a smooth player. I know there were others that contributed, but what a team that is. And just to beat such a dominant team in overtime and just in the way they did it. We got to give Kirsten Stone her due. I mean, just a coaching masterpiece. Um, the way they swing the ball quickly from side to side, just the girls pinpoint passes, hit the right person, hit the cutter. And then, the way Coach Stone handles her team, she's smiling out there late in the game and just trying to get them comfortable, but making the right calls with I think they had the ball with 40 seconds to go. They could have stalled held for the last shot. Actually went for a quick hitter that got the and one. And because she had fouls to give, I guess she knew she could waste time when on the defensive end. So I think she caught Manchester sleeping. Just a tremendous call by Coach Stone. Obviously, you know why she's so successful. When we move on to the Hayfield Patriot game, this is the matchup of the teams that were the first two, rated number 1 and 2 most of the year. Similar teams, great defense, athleticism, great shooters. Even though you would never know by watching the game last night, the intensity level was off the charts. Again, the officiating was very uneven, so that did take away from the game. But Patriot, the game was close early. Patriot never really got in a rhythm on offense. I think maybe they were most effective when they were penetrating. Maybe they were over penetrating, but the ball did not move easily around the court. And obviously, I'm sure Hayfield's defense had a lot to do with that because they defend so well. I thought Jay Randall had a great game. 6'4" senior for Patriot had a great game. I thought he defended incredibly well. There were so many plays where he made the stop on defense and got the rebound. So hats off to Jay Randall. I thought he had a great game for Patriot. Nazir Coleman, their returning all-met point guard, ends his career with another great effort. Lots of good finishes, just athleticism. Hayfield has a lot of guards that come at you, and Nazir was under control throughout. So I thought he played a great game. But Hayfield, what a game for the Hayfield team. Very balanced effort. Obviously, they have the big three that have been there for seems like 10 years. Greg Jones, David King, DJ Holloway. They were there, but they had contributions for eight or nine players at least, maybe 10. Obviously, the standouts were David King. David was, I believe he had 14 and he had hit his foul shots, but just, always tough to guard, very active. But Donovan Bass Briscoe, got to get that name right. But Donovan was great. I mean, when they lost Braylon Wheeler last year, he's a tough player to replace because he's such a great leader, physical presence, clutch shooter. He gave them so much last year. But Donovan had an amazing game. And in the fourth quarter, just went downhill with 2 huge plays that kind of put the game away, kind of took the air out of the game. And I thought, probably player of the game. And you have to give credit to that kid. He had an awesome performance. And then you go back to Coach Poindexter, just a cool tactician, and just keeps making changes during the game, and he keeps giving you different looks, makes the right substitutions. I mean, when you win back-to-back state titles and you're undefeated in the state in 2 years, I believe 69-1. I mean, coach is he's in a very exclusive company now when you start talking about our greatest coaches, and he hasn't been coaching that long. So it's pretty scary where they're going. But let's, both the coaches, when you think about Coach Stone and Coach Poindexter, when you look at the Mount Rushmore of great Northern Virginia coaches, and we've lost a couple great ones in the last few months, but particularly I saw Don McCool from predominantly Mount Vernon, but also West Springfield and Hayfield and Falls Church passed recently, and he was one of our greatest coaches. And then we look at our Mount Rushmore of great coaches. We have 2 from this tournament. Kirsten Stone and Carlos Poindexter, who are going to be asking for spots on that great sculpture because they're great coaches. They're modern, they're hip. They can deal with the parents of today. They can deal with the players of today, the social media. Just great coaches, great people. I love talking to them, and you know, very happy for them and their state in yet another state championship. Um, you know, next year when we go to these tournaments, I like to see some Nova Legends gear out there. So our store is open. Buy your Nova Legends gear. But it's been a great season. I've enjoyed talking about it, and I'm sure I'll try to get some of the teams on and talk to them as well. But I want to congratulate all the players, supporters, parents, administrators. Um, Good luck to all the seniors and whatever they try in the future. I know that this being champions will serve you well in whatever you try in life. So that's all for today. But thanks for listening.